business. Then I can go about recouping my money from that little hit your friends made against my stash." "What hit?" Taylor asked, as Journey fought to figure out what the hell they were even talking about. Ascardi laughed. "Let's go, Miss Fitzhugh. Someone is very interested in talking to you." Journey stiffened as Taylor pulled her closer to her, the name tugging at her memory and filling her with sudden dread. She'd heard the name Fitzhugh several times in the past, and if she remembered correctly, it was one tied to a very violent and depraved person, as well as a much-beloved family member and missing cousin. They were led across a wide-open space to a brightly lit office, the doors thrown wide, and as Journey stepped inside, all she could see was the three men she'd always believed would protect her. Her grandfather, Stephen, her father, Craig, and her fiancé, Beauregard Grant. She heard her own cry, the denial that slipped from her lips, and felt her world being destroyed 1 second at a time. "Father!" She would have raced to him, would have fought the truth, if she were given the chance. Instead, rough hands gripped her shoulders, pulling her back and throwing her onto a tattered leather couch along with Taylor. Her grandfather and father and Beau stood watching them silently. Grandpa Stephen was propped against the edge of an old desk, his arms crossed over his chest, his expression hard and cold. Her father grimaced in disgust as she whispered his name again, a plea that this not be true, filling her voice. Only Beau remained aloof, unaffected as he stared at her. Her grandpa was watching Taylor rather than her, though, an amused, faintly condescending smile on his face. "I remember that look," he told Taylor. "The same look your dear mother had when we caught up with her in Nicaragua. I believe she may have actually cried, though." The pleasure in his voice was terrifying to Journey. "And I would have thought by now you would have explained who you are. The daughter of our dear departed Francine, Taya Fitzhugh." "That's not true!" Journey cried out, shocked, certain her grandfather had to be mistaken. Taylor wouldn't have hidden that from her. It was the same as a lie, and she knew how Journey felt about lies. "It's true," Taylor, or rather Taya, stated softly. "And they're the reason Mother died." It couldn't be true. They had to be playing one of their elaborate games like they played with their children. They couldn't kill. They wouldn't have. But they had. She saw in their faces, in the cruel, vicious smirks on their faces. She turned to her grandfather, her father, enraged. "What are you doing? Father? Grandfather? Have you lost your minds?" The look her grandfather flashed her was one so hard she could only stare back at him, terror flashing through her. "If she opens her stupid mouth again, gag her," her father ordered the men standing behind her. Gag her? She stared at the two men she had always loved. She hadn't been close to them. They were very standoffish, even on a good day, but they'd always looked out for her, hadn't they? She'd believed they loved her, despite their often harsh demands. At that thought, vague memories of when she was younger, of conversations that had made little sense to her, began to swirl within her mind. Conversations that had frightened her, made her distrust them before the fear had forced her to forget the words. As she stared at them furiously, she was aware of Beau unfolding his crossed arms and allowing them to hang carefully at his sides. "You killed my mother," Taya said then, the words sinking into Journey's soul with slashing horror. Her grandfather chuckled then. "She thought we were there to help her, that her father had sent us after she contacted him." He smiled with satisfaction. "She was rather upset to learn that wasn't the case." He turned to her father then. "We did enjoy our